too.
Peacock feathers as a sort of symbol of queer identities.
Because it's the male peacock that has incredibly flamboyant tail feathers. Check out this painting of the couple Charles Ricketts and Charles Shannon by Edmund Dulac. They're painted as medieval saints, but Shannon is holding a peacock feather, juxtaposing religious imagery with this knowing symbol.
We see people holding them and looking out into the
Hi
mirror to make
everybody,
some sort of
this
connection.
is Dean FM, Dean Fraser Milford here for your creature comfort, and today I wanted to do another reaction video. This one's going to be to The Queer Code, Secret Languages of LGBTQ plus art by the National Gallery's channel. You know I love me some art. I did this little piece right here. I did this a while ago. I did that, and I also did I did this up here. It's a boat. There's some more stuff up there. So I'll be up in my art game bag. I want to make a little bit of a collage to put in the back to replace this collage here of this monument. To replace that, because it's old. And you know, please make sure to check out my stuff. It's in the link down below. And let's get right in.
If you look closely at artworks and portraits of certain Victorians, you might notice a recurring image. Green carnations attached to the lapel of a jacket.
Green carnation was something that Oscar Wilde brought into the public.
A signifier of their identity, and encouraged his circle of friends also to wear the green carnation. There was a special shop in London where you could get green carnations from. They were dyed green, they weren't a natural green colour.
Most people would always go for a white carnation, but a green one is something very strange, very queer.
But these flowers are just one example of the many visual symbols throughout history that hinted at secret sexualities and identities that had been hidden. So, what other coded symbols can we find in the history of queer artwork? How did today's artists reference and reuse them? And how have hidden symbols transitioned to a wider and more expressive queer visual language?
Yeah. Art's where it's at. Let me tell you something. The art.
Around the same time as the green carnation, there was another queer symbol in use too.
Peacock feathers as a sort of symbol of queer identities.
Because it's the male peacock that has incredibly flamboyant tail feathers. Check out this painting of the couple Charles Ricketts and Charles Shannon by Edmund Dulac. They're painted as medieval saints, but Shannon is holding a peacock feather, juxtaposing religious imagery with this knowing symbol.
We see people holding them and looking out into the mirror to make some sort of connection.
Peacock feathers were commonly used in Art Nouveau at the time. They're seen in Whistler's famous Peacock Room and recur through Aubrey Beardsley's black and white artworks. Nowadays, we have plenty of ways of anonymously communicating our sexual desires with different tribes. But on the dance floors of 1970s San Francisco, men relied on a secret visual code.
A handkerchief hanging from a pocket.
Men would wear different coloured handkerchiefs to denote their sexual interests.
You can't really get into examples of the hanky code without getting a different certificate.
Of course, peacock feathers, handkerchiefs, carnations are but a few of the many, many queer symbols throughout history. All sorts of different shapes, colours and hidden meanings.
There have always been coded messages in clothing, in badges and so on and so forth.
There's the nautical star tattoo.
Commonplace in lesbian communities.
The lambda symbol.
Designed by the Gay Activist Alliance in the early 1970s. And science represents energy.
There's one inspired by an animal.
My favourite one is the lavender rhinoceros, which has a red heart that emerged in the US, I believe. In Boston in the mid-1970s, symbolises strength and resilience against adversity because it's a much more aligned animal.
But some queer symbols emerge from less celebratory, more defiant beginnings. One of the most powerful and iconic subversions of imagery was the pink triangle, which was reappropriated from its use in Nazi concentration camps.
It was sewed on people's uniforms when they were in prison to identify them as gay men in the concentration camps. There was other triangles as well. There was a black triangle, for example, that identified antisocial behaviour, and that included lesbians among them. In a way, it's been reclaimed by the
imagine they were
communities
trans.
in the same way that the word queer has been reclaimed.
In the mid-80s, there was a campaign called Silence Equals Death.
Where they took that pink triangle and flipped it.
That campaign was addressing the silence around the AIDS epidemic in both media and government at the time.
Look into that.
Thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that weren't being represented.
Historical artists have also frequently used the guise of classical or mythological identity to smuggle in references to LGBTQ+ sentiments and feelings. Comparatively to the Middle Ages, antiquity was a time of acceptance. Queer people might not have had the labels that we do today, but its freer, more open attitudes towards sexualities made ancient Greece and Rome a touchstone that artists throughout history returned to.
Those people had found the vehicle in which to put their desire, kind of smuggle it into the thing that's existing and already allowed.
Was it sanctioned by history and by great literature? It allowed the artist to sort of perhaps dwell on the beauty of the male figure. You can say, well, that's Hadrian and Antinous, or that's Achilles and Patroclus, or from the Bible, David and Jonathan.
So artists use these figures, like Simeon Solomon's depiction of Sappho, a Greek poet from Lesbos, from which the word lesbian is derived. A sensual depiction of two women in embrace, dress slipping off a shoulder, two birds mimicking their form from behind. But it isn't.
It's a deer. What are you doing, a deer? Oh.
It isn't just visual artworks in which queer code was used. From the 30s to the 60s, a vernacular slang called Polari was used by gay men.
Yeah, we heard about
Polari is a
this in another
form
video.
of slang language, which took words from lots of different places.
There was around 500 to 600 words documented.
From Yiddish, from slang terms used by circus performers, wrestlers apparently, merchant sailors too, and it was adopted by gay circles.
Particularly gay men communicating with each other without risk.
There are some words still used today that actually originated from Polari.
Really?
Cottaging and cruising, which have particular connotations to them. But there are words like naff, which is a word from Polari.
Which just goes to show the legacy of these kinds of codes.
Malone tried to give her an Irish multi-palaver. Pauline told her to shove a sheikel up her guyver.
So, a variety of visual and linguistic codes can be seen throughout history. But is there also a broader visual language that runs through history? Is there such thing as a queer aesthetic?
It's hard to sort of say what a queer aesthetic is without stereotyping someone, I think.
There isn't any one experience.
Queerness is something that's difficult to describe.
It's multitudinous. There are lots of voices with different lived experiences and different opinions trying to be expressed.
Aesthetics change with time.
We are every colour in the spectrum, aren't we?
Nonetheless, throughout arts history, LGBTQ+ artists have been inspired by their predecessors. So there are themes and motifs that emerge.
Because we don't see many images which represent us, we have to find ourselves. We have to reappropriate the imagery that exists.
There is a way in which material and imagery is recycled.
And so they are there in our DNA without us necessarily directly referring to them.
Whether it's the use of a certain colour or certain types of fashion.
Images of kind of camp or drag.
I associate it with otherness in a way, anything that is not societal norm or the heteronormative.
Maybe there's a gaydar in painting.
Of course, there are specific aesthetics and subcultures within the broader LGBTQ+ umbrella, like flowers, which recur from Gluck's coded still lives, to the floral compositions of Carl van Vechtem's photography of Harlem residents in the 30s and 40s, to Mapplethorpe's black and white flower photography. Since legal changes have, in recent decades, made the lives of queer people more open and free, so too has the art produced by LGBTQ+ artists. the world of queer art opened up, becoming bolder, louder, and more mainstream.
There's less requirement for people to use those symbols, those codes, which in essence were there to protect people.
And yet, if you look close, those secret codes and aesthetics are still there.
It is interesting, even being in times when you potentially can be more overt and are more overt. Again, it does seem to be something of fascination and something which comes quite naturally to slide in a reference. People will read it when they know what it is, but others it might pass them by.
It's very useful for society.
For today's artists,
I think we all need to have something we can look at each other and kind of relating to other people, feeling that validation and feeling like, okay, I kind of get what this person's going for. It's very important to a lot of people that you feel not alone, because you're not alone. We may feel alone. Our experiences may lend themselves to a very lone existence. We are definitely prevalent in the arts. We're definitely prevalent no matter where you are. We've been definitely done a tremendous disservice, injustice by not being allowed to really just say, like, we are normal. The fact that this gay is a choice thing is still even a thing is just like, okay, we have a long way to go. In the arts and in creativity and in fashion and in theater and in all these type of art forms.
People read it when they know what it is, but for others it might pass them by.
For today's artists, really it's about exploring, analysing and challenging the visuals that have defined queer culture of the past.
When we come to try to find our own language, how do we do that? How can we identify an authentic voice when everything that we are is developed as a consequence of everything that we see, everything that we know, and all the expectations which are placed on us, etc.?
We are all formed by the cultures that make us.
Yeah, we sure
And
are.
maybe it's these figures from the past, maybe it's these myths, maybe it's other people who've made something before. And the way that I like to work with that when I get it is to kind of pick it apart and to talk about both the histories that form us and the kind of shortcomings of those histories.
I want to try to make some images which try to deal with that, try to deal with the difficulty of that.
And so, secret languages are always with us, constantly evolving, resurfacing, and speaking to us.
And presenting themselves in various different methods and mediums, and they're just going to continue to have faith in art, faith and creativity to really kind of get us out of a hole. People definitely underestimate the power. And that, my dear, was reacting to the Queer Code, Secret Languages of LGBTQ plus art. Please stay true to who you are, stay colorful, stay active, safe, stay true the best way you can. And community is very important. And let's have a little conversation here too. What's your favorite piece of art? Whether it is queer related or not. So let's talk about art. Leave it in the comments down below. And if I may put in here, my favorite piece of art is the dancing or the frolicking yellow cow by Franz Marc. And an artist of note for today will be Equa Holmes, and she is a mixed media artist from my home state of Massachusetts. Hey! I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.